Hey, welcome back to the mountain. Today we're going to revisit the Idaho murders. We got some big developments. Phil, my buddy here across from me, has the police report, and we're going to go through that and check some things out. Looks like we may have a stalking situation here, Phil. What do you say?
Well, so we have the Exhibit A from the officer Brett Payne. It's the affidavit that was submitted on December 29th at 2:52 p.m. their time, because that's way.
It's Idaho.
Us. Yeah, it's Idaho. So let's go ahead and bring up the actual affidavit.
Go ahead. Let's bring it up. There we go.
Okay, so here's the actual affidavit from him, which I find out to be really interesting. I've had, so anybody who's in any kind of law enforcement,
Go ahead.
And when you go through anything, and you work for the state, whatever state it is, the state's attorney is actually going to help you write this. So he didn't actually write this affidavit, the arresting officer. He put all his information together, and then him and the state's attorney sat down and pretty much wrote this affidavit, because that's how it's always transpired with me.
Right.
So,
you got new developments though out of this report.
Yeah, we got quite a few new developments. Yeah, the first one, we're going to scroll. Let me pull this down. So we're going to scroll up here with the first. So what they did first is they redacted any of the autopsy reports, because it'll be private. You know what I mean? See, they're not going to be.
Well, yeah, they're not going to. It's not going to be. It comes later.
It will. It'll come later during discovery and all that kind of stuff.
Well, we know that it was 19 times anyway. We do know that much.
I don't remember. I can't remember. It's a lot. I mean, there's 4 victims. There's so much to keep track of. You pretty much have to keep a notebook. I think they were stabbed
19 times.
Yeah, you're gonna have to keep a notebook. So the first thing is we mentioned this in the first one we did.
The first show we did this on the K-Bar.
Yes, right. And we mentioned that on the first one, which was the K-Bar by the United States Marine Corps. And there was a sheath for that actual knife, fixed blade knife.
The knife sheath.
Yes. And on the sheath was some type of DNA, whether it was blood, who knows what it was. But his DNA was actually on the button of the sheath.
And the sheath was left at the crime scene.
Yes, it was actually left. It'll tell you right here what was left. So he put here, as the officer, as I entered the room, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Gonclaves and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather sheath knife laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side. He left the sheath in the bed. So it kind of makes me believe, by reading that, if this is what actually transpired, because we don't know 100% yet. We don't have all the evidence. Hold on, let me finish.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I will say is that it looks like it started there. Because if he left the sheath there, the sheath to the blade there,
that's where he
first pulled it out and dropped it and left it, and then forgot about it.
Yeah, premeditated too. It's all premeditated. Why in the hell would you take a K-Bar that time of night into somebody's house unless you had the intent on killing somebody?
Right. It gets more interesting after that.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So we can keep scrolling down here. And if you want to read some of it, you can. They pretty much have it online. I downloaded it. We'll keep going.
This is the timeline. This is stuff that what we're strolling through now. Oh, there's the DoorDash at she got a DoorDash at 4 a.m.
4 a.m. So this goes into everything that happened.
It's it
breaks down everything,
testimony and all.
Yes. So it breaks down everything from the time this guy walked in and saw the crime scene and found evidence, which would have been the DNA sample in the sheath, to actual witness, which was one of the girls that was still in the house.
On the first floor.
On the first floor. So that gets really interesting. We'll read that when it comes up.
That's where the 2 survivors were at, correct?
Correct.
On the first floor.
Well, the one survivor saw him.
Well, according to this report, yeah.
According to this affidavit, she saw him. So she has her own.
Well, that's where I get into the stalking comment that I mentioned to you earlier there, that she's seen him.
Yes.
He walked by her. She's alive. So stalking, premeditated, targeted type of situation here.
Yes.
Okay.
It could have been. We don't know.
We don't know, but it sure does.
Well, we do know.
This is just my opinion.
We know
folks.
what they found from cell phone records when they pinged his phone, and it goes into detail about how they brought the FBI in to do the cell phone records. Anyway, we're jumping ahead.
Yeah, a little bit, but I mentioned stalker before. But go ahead. You got some highlighted stuff here, so
yeah. So
go ahead, Phil.
Let me read this one. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. DM stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m., but what she stated sounded like conclaves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Gonclave saying something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of the records obtained from a forensic download of Kernodle's phone showed this could also have been Kernodle on her cellular phone, indicated which she was likely awake using the TikTok app at 4:12 a.m.
Right.
So the one girl was awake at 4 a.m. using her phone.
Yes.
DM stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. DM stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying come from Kernodle's room. DM then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you."
Wow.
That's kind of
weird.
So this part right here, it's actually the next paragraph. At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest, picked up distorted audio. Remember that?
We heard that.
Yeah.
We heard that audio.
Yeah, we played it in one of the shows.
Yes.
Picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog could also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. Right? So it gets a little better.
Go ahead.
DM stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows.
We also discussed that too. You mentioned it, but he had to have an athletic being.
Oh, he had to be an athletic guy to do this.
Go ahead.
With a knife. Oh, my Lord.
Yes.
The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room. After seeing the male, DM did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe the murderer left the scene.
But he walked by her.
Yes.
He walked by. If she was that close, that she seen him come down the hall, he walked by her. She was in such a scared state. It's that fight or flight type thing right there. And she was in such a shock. She froze.
Yes, which would be normal.
And he let her live.
Yes.
Why?
Correct. Why would you do that?
See, that's what I'm getting at. There's where I'm thinking that it's a targeted type of thing.
Or, in my mind,
he already got what he came for.
Or in my mind, who's to say that girl's telling the truth?
Well,
I mean, I would hope to God she is, but to be devil's advocate.
Well, here's the thing about that, Phil. If she's not telling the truth, she's in on it.
Correct.
There you go.
Maybe. You don't know. But I mean, her statement from what she said, and I will say this, based on, I would think the police would have probably drilled her enough.
Yeah, she's not arrested. He is.
Yeah, I would think they drilled her enough to whether they can tell if she's lying.
Right.
Right. They can tell.
Sure they can.
I mean, when you do this a lot, you can tell if somebody's lying. Right. So I do have an issue with like time. I didn't really sit down and look at all the time frames on these, but you know, from 4:17 a.m. and then when you pinpoint where the car is, I mean, there's some playroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they know it's. Well, we know pretty well. So between 4 and 5 a.m. It's somewhere in between there.
Well, it says here that the investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Also, during the processing, investigators found a latent shoe print, which was located during the second processing of the crime scene. Using
Yeah,
a presumptive
that was,
blood test and everything. Okay.
I remember it. Van type shoe.
Yes,
Right.
it was a van style shoe, and it was located. Where was it? Located on the second floor, which is actually consistent with that girl's statement regarding the suspect's path of travel.
Yes.
So they can corroborate that with actual hard evidence that she
Yes.
did see him traveling out through there.
I just think if there was anything, if there was any doubt to her story, or if there was any involvement, she'd be behind bars.
I would think so.
You would hope so.
Yeah, I think the key is this, and the one person left us a comment stating that people in that area at the specific place those two girls worked knew that this guy was stalking these girls because of where she worked. They both worked at the same type restaurant. He would come in there, and it was almost like common knowledge that happened, that he was doing that. So, I mean, honestly, I think it.
Well, and like you said, you read further in the report too. The cell phones is the pings on the cell phones matches up with the camera footage. Didn't you say that?
And it goes into detail with that. I mean, a lot of that is the cell phone
or the location of the
location of the cameras, and matching it up with the car, and then his white car, and then the fact that his white car did not have a front tag. That was a big thing, because in Pennsylvania, you don't need a front tag.
Yeah, but not only a front tag, but then he changed them 5 days after the murder.
Correct. So then he changed it. But on video, the car's driving down the road and it doesn't have a front tag on it. And they're like, why doesn't it have a front tag?
If he got new ones.
No, meaning
prior.
He currently had a Pennsylvania tag.
Yes.
Pennsylvania only has one tag.
One tag.
So you're right. He did go back and change them 4 or 5 days.
5 days after
later.
the fact, he renewed the registration and got new tags.
Right. So they keep referring his to the vehicle as suspect vehicle 1.
Right.
Hyundai Elantra. And it goes into a lot of detail with that on where his cell phone was, how they matched up. First of all, when he did the crime, allegedly did the crime, right? He turned his cell phone off.
Yeah, between those times, there was no more reading of that cell phone. No pings on any towers or anything between 4 and 5 a.m. Right?
Yeah, it was a wow. It was a wow.
It was between the time, but isn't that's hardly fucking coincidental?
Correct.
That his phone would be off during those times of the murders.
Correct. So what they did was they matched up the cameras that they had in the general area of the crime scene,
right,
to the cameras where he actually lives on that other college campus,
which isn't far.
No,
is it?
And they matched up his car coming in at a reasonable time where he could have done the crime, where they have actual video evidence. Like, why are you up at 4 o'clock in the morning? You know what I mean? Unless you're going to work.
There was a quote also. One of the investigators also said that it's such a neighborhood that there's not a lot of traffic.
No.
And what traffic you do see is the same traffic you see every morning.
No, it'd be like here. It's like where we live. There's hardly anybody here.
It's the people that live in the neighborhoods most traffic you see.
Especially.
So anything sticks out like a sore thumb that's not there.
Correct.
Not part of the pattern.
Especially at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, I got
4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
4 a.m. There might be one vehicle, and everybody know Johnny down the street works so-and-so and has to be at work at 5:30.
Even then, there was people still up at that time.
Yes, there were.
You got that recording, the outside recording.
Do. So all of this content right here is basically them matching up the cameras with his white car and then the pings on the cell phone.
Right.
Where it didn't ping, and then matching up his car over at the other college where he was with cameras on the exact same day with that time frame being blanked out with his cell phone.
Which goes to what we said the previous show. They have substantial. They wouldn't be extraditing this fella.
Yeah, and then
from
the cop,
Pennsylvania without substantial evidence.
Correct. So then, and they flew him in I think a private.
Oh, I'm sure.
State police plane.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just like, we have state police planes, so do they. And they flew him out there on a Cessna Turbo, whatever. Anyway, additionally, so the guy pulls up, the officer pulls up information about this guy, pulls up his driver's license, photograph. He meets the specs what that girl said. He's 6 foot, 185 pounds. and he has bushy eyebrows,
which is consistent.
Which is consistent what she said with her testimony. Well, witness statement.
Yeah, witness statement.
Right there's the license plate. The 2015 white Elantra was registered in Pennsylvania, which does not require a front license plate to be displayed.
Yeah, we discussed that.
And then we keep scrolling because here,
so no murder weapon yet either, right?
No,
they don't have a weapon yet.
They don't have a weapon. So
but
you
they've
would
got
think
the sheath. No weapon.
They're probably trying to find if he bought one. Like the first place they're probably going to pull is all his card statements.
Oh, I'm sure.
Every one of his Visa card statements,
I'm sure.
bank card, whatever. See if he got one off of Amazon.
They're going to be in this guy's back pocket, man.
You know.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
honestly, for a guy with a criminal justice degree, almost a doctor in criminology, you'd think he'd have been a little more smart.
Well, maybe he thinks he is smart, Phil.
I think yes. I think that's it. I think he thinks he's
maybe
better
he thinks
than
he's smarter than the investigators,
Yeah.
which is going to make him look foolish.
So the last 4 digits of his phone number were 8458.
Right.
And the interesting part is it did not show that the 8458 phone utilizing any cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m.
So between 3 and 5, that's when he shut it off.
It was off.
Either shut it off.
He shut it off.
Or put it in airplane mode.
One or the other.
One or the other.
Didn't take it with him. Whatever.
No more pings. No more
nothing.
No more reading.
Right. And then here they explain to you why that's important. Individuals can either leave their cellular telephone at a different location before committing a crime or turn their cellular telephone off prior to going to a location to commit a crime.
So then it reads what? It would read the last place you were at,
yeah,
or
so
wherever
they're
the phone's
saying
laying.
my phone's saying I was at home.
Yeah,
I was at home.
Yeah, it doesn't mean the phone's with the person.
Correct.
I got what you're saying there.
Right. And it kind of goes into a little bit of detail about that. And the FBI did a lot of the cell phone
I'm sure.
work, which is a lot of work. You know, just where it pinged.
A lot of data.
That's a lot of work to go through. Jeez. One of the interesting parts is that they also went and found that his cell phone pinged in that area 12 other times. Yeah,
that's where I was. That's there again is where I got the with the stalking conspiracy with why was he around? Why was he coming around so much? What he was watching this. I just feel that this man went there with an intention and completed it.
Oh, I think so. There's more. Another just snapshot. Additionally, the route of travel of the 8458 phone during the early morning hours of November 13th and the lack of the phone reporting to AT&T between 2:47 a.m. and 4:48 a.m. is consistent with Kohberger attempting to conceal his location during the quadruple homicide that occurred at the King Road residence. So
you go.
Right before that's all the evidence that they have to back that up.
Well, and he's educated too. So anybody, I don't know. Does everybody know nowadays that they can be tracked by their phone? I would hope everybody knows that by now.
Edward Snowden proved that. He could pull up your phone and look at you on it. Hey, how you doing?
I don't know. If you're going to go into hiding, that's the first thing you're going to dump your cell phone. You better anyway.
Right. So the records for the 8458 phone show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to the area of 1112 King Road on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. So he was...
So late at night, early morning.
Late at night, early in the morning.
He's stalking.
Looks like he's stalking.
And it looks like he's trying to pick up their patterns. They're coming and going. Their regular routine.
Looks like who's there.
Yeah, or their routine for that matter.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
It sure does. This is methodical, Phil.
It makes me wonder. Methodical. Now, here's the thing, right? When all the evidence comes out, if he's 100% solid on this and he did it, what else did he do?
Yeah, well, this may be the only thing he got caught for.
Correct. There might be more.
God forbid.
Right.
But this just seems so methodical. The more information we get, and the more evidence it seems to keep pouring out. This was so premeditated. It seems so premeditated to me. Like he went there with the purpose.
Yes. Yeah. Why would you take a weapon?
And he had in mind
Why would you go
what
that
he
out?
wanted and who he wanted, because he let the girl, he walked right by her.
It
He had
seems
no
like-
intentions of harming that child.
No, it seems to me like he made it in the house, went into that bedroom after a specific girl, because when you pull out that weapon, he left the sheath to the weapon, to the knife.
That's where he started,
That's where
right?
he
That's where
started.
you indicated that he
That
started,
looks to me
because
like
that's
where
where the
he's-
weapon was brandished.
Correct.
Right.
All right, so then on here we got another thing which I find really interesting. On December 27th, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from his family residence located in Pennsylvania. That evidence was sent to a Idaho state lab for testing. On December 28th, the state lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of the suspect. At least 99.9998% of the male population would be expected to be excluded from the possibility of being the suspect's biological father. So here's what they did.
So the suspect and the father match.
So, well, here's what they did.
I see what you're saying.
No, so what they did is they got a DNA sample from his trash, right? And then the sample
from his
the seed,
family's trash
to get his, and then they got the sample from the sheath
and
matched it, right? And it also looks like they ran it through 23andMe or Ancestry.com.
Well, that was where the genealogical.
That's why it's coming
DNA
back, father, your biological
Right.
father.
Yeah, imagine that.
That's what it looks like they did.
Yeah.
And then,
Is that the end of the report?
yeah, this is the end of the report. It was submitted on December 29th under perjury law, which is a normal thing for.
Here's another thing. Are they going to
State
televise? I wonder if they'll televise it. They've televised some in the past. I was wondering if the court TV would be allowed in on this one.
No, they said no.
No?
The judge said
It's already-
no. Well,
no.
can't say televised for the trial.
No media.
But as of right now, nobody's allowed to talk about it. Nobody's allowed to release anything about it. Nobody's allowed to say one word until it starts trial.
That's
So,
what I was hoping for. Maybe we got
maybe
cameras
when it comes into the
starts.
trial, we may.
That'd be interesting.
I think it would.
Because I think there's a lot more evidence than just that report too.
Oh, there's going to be a bunch more coming out.
Just the physical evidence,
So-
because they already said the crime scene was an absolute terror.
What they'll
a
have
mess.
to, what his attorney will do, and he has a state's attorney. You know, he doesn't have his own private attorney. He got a court-appointed attorney.
He's got a public defender.
Yeah, so they'll file for discovery to see what all information that they have against him, the entire case, and they're required to provide that. So once he gets that, either we'll get a little bit of a feel for it, maybe they let some things go, or you got to wait till court till it's presented.
I think if you're a good prosecutor, you probably want the. You don't want any, because we don't even have a jury yet. So,
Well, I mean, just from watching OJ, they're gonna.
oh my word,
You know what I mean?
what a circus!
Yeah, with the evidence with the DNA.
Yeah,
oh
or
dear
what,
Lord,
what was it? And
I ain't never seen anything like
murder.
it before in my life.
Well,
I learned
no,
so
no.
much about DNA.
what was the murder trial with the mother and the child?
Oh, there's been quite a few.
No. This
unfortunately.
was just recently in California. When in California, the baby come up missing. Had the Zanny was the babysitter. Oh, what's her name, Phil?
I can't remember.
Isn't that
What?
awful? Black-haired woman. Black-haired
remember.
chick. It'll come to mind. I can't remember.
That's
it
all
was
right.
big. It was big news. I can't remember her
I
name.
can't remember
It's
it either.
awful.
And I'm pretty sure we talked about it, but I can't remember.
I don't know.
That's all right.
We'll talk about it next time. I'll redeem myself. I can't
Yeah,
remember
right.
her name.
So
But anyway, no more to come. But
yeah, we'll have more to come.
Big development in this police report. Big development.
Yes.
A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that our intuition was. Some of it was on. Some
Yes.
of it was definitely on.
Oh yeah,
So
we hit it on the
There's more to come.
we hit it on there, bud.
Yeah, we did all right.
I still think that
no, I'm not blowing my own whistle
but I
here or
still
anything,
think
but
that after if all the
there's-
evidence comes out and he's 100% convicted without a doubt, which I didn't know this, Idaho has
Well,
murder or Idaho has
that's
capital
death-
punishment.
Yeah, they got the death
Yeah,
penalty.
they got the death penalty.
By that way, that report writes, there's plenty just in that report to take him into custody. I mean,
Oh,
good
absolutely.
Lord. So
They also, did you know this? So you remember when they said that he was pulled over on the way here with his dad?
yeah,
The FBI pulled him over because they wanted to
Yeah,
see
the
what his
FBI
hands looked like.
yeah. The FBI told state police to pull him over,
Yep.
and his hand was injured, was it not?
I
in
don't.
the car.
Well, when I looked at the actual video, I couldn't tell.
couldn't
So
see.
you'd have to get the
Yeah, they wanted
from
him
the
pulled
police.
over.
Yeah, they wanted him
Yeah.
pulled over. That's for sure.
All right, Phil.
And then the other thing, one of the comments that someone left us was that the reason he asked if he was the only one arrested was because his father took him to Pennsylvania and drove with him. So he didn't want his father to be an accessory too.
Accessory to what?
Meaning,
What'd he do?
No, meaning that his dad knew what he did was coming to get him and take him home.
Or assuming that?
Assuming that. That's
Yeah.
what he assumed when they said, am I the only one arrested?
Or because he didn't know nothing,
Yeah, right?
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Anyway,
Yeah.
hey, stay tuned for the next one because it's pretty,
Yep,
Getting-
we'll be back.
it's getting really interesting. Thanks for watching. If you could go to YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Doesn't cost nothing and helps with the algorithm. Thanks again.